All right, here we are again. Michael Ware with the Iowa Firearms Coalition. I have three very special guests today. This is going to be kind of fun. Some of these people you may recognize if you've paid attention to IFC over the last several years, and especially things like youth being able to use firearms for practice, competition, hunting, all these kinds of things. You'll recognize two of these girls over here in the, let me get my fingers in the right places, in the corners, right? Okay, so Meredith Gibson, Natalie Gibson, hello. It's good to see you guys again.
Hi, it's good to see you too.
Fantastic. I've got my daughter Caitlin along for the ride here. She's got some questions. So, just for everybody's understanding, a little bit of context, the Gibson girls, as they became known, were kind of brought onto the scene. What? This has been almost what? Approaching 10 years ago. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I just turned 14.
Okay. All right.
I'm
So
21.
tell everybody what transpired, and let everybody know what brought you guys into advocacy.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll start where it started with me. So, the beginning of it was me and my father were at the range. I would say, Meredith, how old would you say I was?
8,
Eight,
probably 8, yeah.
8 or 7. And I was out with my dad on a gun range, in Johnston, shooting my pistol with my dad. And then this guy came up to us and was like, "Hey, she's not allowed to be using a pistol with you." And we were just like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, you need to leave." So then we talked to the store manager, and he was like, "That does not seem right. Like that, I've never heard that in my life." And then we called our representative, like, "No, I don't think that's right." We called the sheriff. He's like, "That doesn't sound right." But then later we got a call back from our representative, and he said, "Actually, that is right. It was an old forgotten law that kids under 14 could not touch or even learn how to handle or look at a pistol, even with parent supervision." So we packed up our stuff and came home, and then me and Meredith decided that we didn't like that, and we were going to change that. So
Fantastic. So, I got a call at my shop one day because I don't know if you girls were there, but your dad was at the Capitol, and he was talking with people like, this is wrong. This is patently incorrect. You guys have to do something about this. And one thing led to another. And what, Meredith? You guys ended up at the Capitol building doing what?
We decided to talk to our representatives and our senators and talk to them about like what's going on, and told them like, "Hey, here's the deal, we're under 14. We've always shot with our parents before. Our dad's always taken us to the gun range." And we talked to them and asked them like, "Hey, what can we do to change this law, because this isn't fair to us?"
Yeah, it was inspiring to watch and see. So, give everybody an idea of how long this took. Did you were you able to change the law in a week or two, or how did that work for you?
Oh no. Like school tells you like, "Oh, you just got to do this, you got to do this, you go and just change the bill." Like, no, it took us a long time, very frustrating, and times where we come home crying because it didn't, pass, and this is what we love to do. This was something that we enjoyed so much, and it was just taken from us.
yeah,
So, it took us a long time.
it took 5 years of going to the Iowa State Capitol every single Wednesday
Uh-huh.
and getting rejected, and just continuing to fight. It took thousands of door knocking to get people elected that would help benefit our bill. It took us lots of parades and representing ourselves and going to dinners and phone calls, a bunch of phone calls to people, and like getting our story out there, meeting with people and podcasts, and trying to just get our word out there. So it took a lot.
Yeah, it did.
I know. I was very proud of you. It's the kind of advocacy. It's the kind of thing that IFC does, and it was especially gratifying for us to watch you come alongside in and around our organization and be true advocates, effectual advocates for doing these things, and to see you do it at a very young age was very inspiring to me. I know that your folks were really proud of you. I know your brother was proud of you. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it was fun to watch the family support you in this, and it was even more fun to see the reflection of people at the Capitol building. So there were even people I noticed that wouldn't vote for your bill, but that they were enthused that you would work through the subject matter, that you would give every effort at being responsible and respectful in your manner of advocacy. And even though you may not have won their votes, I think you won some of their hearts. And I thought that was really special too.
Yeah.
Caitlin, have you been paying attention to any of this? Have you been, I mean, had you been watching that at that time, or were you too young?
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so Caitlin's my daughter, and she has been up to the Second Amendment.
I don't know.
What? Oh, I think there might be a little bit of a lag there.
Yeah.
Do you have some questions that you were wanting to ask Natalie and Meredith real quick? I knew you came up with some, Caitlin. Go ahead.
Yeah. How do young people advocate and how do they become effective?
Would you like to answer that, Natalie, or would you like me to?
You go first. I'll probably add on to it.
Okay. So, how we started going out and talking was when when something that you love so much really affects, like, you can't do anything, you can't do it, and everything just changed, I guess I don't know if I'm wording it right, but sorry, I'm trying to word it right. Natalie, do you have anything to say? Because I got to think of how to word it right.
Yeah. So, how do young people advocate? That was the question, correct? Yes. Okay, so it all starts off like, obviously, if you have something, you have a dream you want, or something blocking your way, and even if you feel threatened, like even if it just comes up like as a topic, you can go to the Capitol and you can talk. Advocating just starts with getting your voice out there, getting heard, making people hear you, and that could be anything. Like, I mean, we posted videos on Facebook and YouTube of just talking about things we care about, or going to communities that have the same point of views, like the IFC. It took a village. We could not have done it without certain groups. So advocating is just getting your voice out there and gathering your community that will have your back, and just getting to know your people, and just getting your voice heard is one thing.
Yeah.
Well, what other questions did you have, Caitlin?
Are there any pitfalls involved in youth advocacy?
So,
are there any what?
Pitfalls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so by that, I just want to clarify, by that I mean like downfalls, like down. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely would say yes.
Yeah.
But like, so is everything else. Like, everything, not everybody's going to love everything you do. There is some, like, especially being told no. I'm a little girl, and like some people at the Capitol they weren't always understanding of us, and that's just normal. But the thing you have to realize is that there's a lot of uneducated people, which is also a big reason why it was so important for us to get our voices out there, because we've changed people's minds on the topic, and it's hard to talk to. You don't just talk to people who want to hear your story and that love your point of view. You have to talk to the people who don't as well. And pitfall is just that can go one way or another. People can be rude about it, but you could also change people's minds and help them open their eyes. So pitfall is just sometimes not getting the reaction you want. And sometimes people can be harsh with it.
Or like, you know, you have those people that know your story but just don't want to hear it, like how we had to basically block the stairs from Senator Gronstal because he just didn't want to hear our story. He didn't want to support it, and that was very heartbreaking, you know, having those people that don't understand and stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's also going to be people, you know, who are close with who didn't know your story, and you know, once they hear it, they just kind of like back themselves up because they don't want to be in this like storm you're creating where you're about to like change it though.
The toddler militia.
Yeah. Getting your name, your reputation, you know, people spreading lies and stuff. That could be, but
yeah.
Well, these things are very personal. It's I don't think a lot of people understand that, but these aren't just issues that are frivolous. Not when it comes to things like the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. These things are near and dear to us, and so it's very hard to be marginalized. I think I can understand that. I've been right there with you many times. I'll probably be there with you again on these things. So I think that maybe that is a pitfall. Maybe the youth need to be preparing themselves to hear no, because that's part of it.
Yep.
What else did you have, Caitlin?
How do youth get involved in hunting?
Well, I guess for us, you know, our dad has, you know, always hunted and stuff, and he showed us. I remember this one time he came home and he was asking us if he wanted us to show us how to skin a buck, and we're like, yeah. So we watched him, and then we were interested, and our dad told us, you know, this is how we get our meat. This is what we eat, and I guess that kind of just interested us, and our dad took us out. We've, you know, talked to people, local people on like where to hunt, and we go out, hunt with our dad, and eventually I guess our school, they did a hunter's safety class, and Natalie and I, and I'm sure Hunter's going to take it too. We've taken it and we've got our hunter's, you know, safety license, and now we can go out and hunt by ourselves if we want. So, I mean, yeah. Natalie, do you have anything to say?
Just getting into hunting is talking to people who hunt, and I mean, so incredibly nice. I mean, if somebody's out there and they're like scared to, they're scared to talk to people about it because they don't want to feel like, oh, this guy doesn't know how to hunt. Like, no, everybody would love to teach someone who hunt. It's the most fun thing in the world, and bringing new people into it is amazing. So just talking to anyone about it, and
Well, all the girls on this program tonight are fortunate enough to have relatives that are willing to take them hunting and friends and that kind of thing too. And I think that that's very important. But what a lot of people may not realize is there are a lot of hunting groups, advocacy groups that will mentor you in hunting. A bunch. NRA's got those things. The Safari Club has those things. There are a lot of groups out there. It's just a quick Google search, and you'll be able to come up literally with dozens of them that will help mentor you into the hunting realm. And there are a lot of really great organizations. So if you're watching this and you're asking yourself, well, what do I do if I don't really have a weapon? I don't know how to hunt, and I don't have anybody in a family or friend that'll take me. There are really reputable places that can do that your folks can check out and make sure that they're sound, and check references, go along with, you know, as an observer, whatever else. Those things there are plenty of those out there. So don't think you just have to have a relative to hunt.
Yeah.
What else did you have, Caitlin?
How do youth get involved in competitions?
Good one.
I remember this story like in the back of my heart. Like when we started, you know, how we started competitive shooting is when this law happened where kids under 14 couldn't shoot a gun. I remember seeing this specific person, which was Cheyenne Roberts. She was shooting, doing a competitive like shooting match, and I was looking at my dad and I said, you know, I really want to do that. That looks a lot of fun. And I talked to Natalie, and she even said, yeah, you know, I want to do that too. Let's get into this. I remember my dad was like, okay, well, we'll figure out how, how to get into this and what to do. And we went down to one of our local shooting ranges in Osceola, and we talked to them, and they said, well, actually, we do USPSA here. We also do 3-gun. And they kind of just, got us into like what to get, what kind of pistols. And we didn't start off with like, all the nice gear, high, we didn't start off with that. We started off with our 9 mil Smith and Wesson. We started off with that, and we had a holster. We just, they taught us and helped us on and guided us where to get all this stuff and what to do. And I remember that first match. It was like, wow, this is something I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Again,
So I guess just going down to your local matches and just, or ranges and just talk to them, get some information on where, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would tell you that I think to add to that, a quick Google search, just like the last question about hunting, you're going to be able to find a lot of rangers, a lot of groups, a lot of clubs, whether that's NRA or, like you said, USPSA, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, I don't even know if it's still a thing, but there was a bunch of IFC shooting around here for a while. Caitlin's own local club here in Baxter has a SASP club now for students. So they're doing the scholastic action shooting. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. And I think that there are a lot of clubs that could form if there was a coach or two that were willing and they knew how to set things up. So there are programs and outlines, NRA, IFC, other people can help provide that show people how to set up a club, how to actually attain your tax status, best practices for fundraising and setting up your bylaws so you can kind of keep the ball bouncing. So there's a lot of possibility for clubs that haven't even started yet as far as scholastic sports go. So there's a ton of stuff out there, a ton.
Yeah.
And it's very popular. I mean, when you girls were getting into this, I don't know if you paid any attention to it. You'll have to answer this for me. But the shotgunning, the clays, that kind of stuff, that was just beginning to bud. Now take a look at it. It's huge.
I know, it's huge. There's so many people that go to the the state trap. So many people. Like, I get the goosebumps talking about it every time because there's just so many people there, campers, and it's just like it's just a big family.
4,000. I think they exceeded 4,000 student shooters this last year. Does that sound right, Natalie? Do you remember? Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I got the goosebumps. That's crazy.
Well, for coming from small potatoes not that many years ago, just a handful, up to 4,000 is unbelievable. I think we still have a long ways to go. And I am totally off the cuff here, but I was thinking that Nebraska has well more than that. So we've got a little ways to go to catch up with our neighbors. I think that they're having a lot more people than that. And from a state that's spread out and lesser populated, Iowa's got some work to do, but we're on the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else did you have, Caitlin? Did you tell me you had 5 questions, or did you get them all?
Yeah, we have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
What was your favorite part in advocacy, hunting, or competitions?
Natalie, would you like to go first?
So I would say my favorite part about advocacy is how absolutely rewarding it feels when we finally got done. I mean, the day that the bill passed, it was better than Christmas. I mean, it was so freeing to know that we weren't like being restricted from the sport we absolutely love the most. And I mean, that sport took me all the way to where I am now, where I just competed at nationals and placed top 10. Like, who knows that if I was never able to start with competition, like, would I be here now? It's just so rewarding. Like, even though there was the pitfalls and everything, the end product is, I would do it 100 times again. I mean, the youth are allowed to go shoot now. I mean, farm kids are allowed to do their thing without having to worry about getting in trouble. Like, it's just so rewarding to know that you've made an impact and a change.
Yeah.
Even still defending it and making sure it stays in place, and seeing new faces and old faces that have been there with you the whole way and growing up with all these people now. It's so incredibly rewarding.
It is. And just to think that, two young girls, they did that. Like, they changed the law, and knowing, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
If two young girls can do it, anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I guess I would say my favorite thing about, I'll say competitive shooting, was, everybody there is just one big family, and they all got your back. And, going to those NRA conventions and seeing people, meeting new people, seeing new faces, sharing our story out with them too. Like, that was definitely my favorite thing. And, shooting and, placing too, like, that was just something that is so memorable. And I recommend, people who do shoot and love to shoot, that they get into competitive shooting, because it's something, like, it's just an awesome opportunity. And I'm so glad that our dad gave us that opportunity to do that, because it's just amazing.
I don't suppose you girls, now that you're up and out and you've flown the coop, have you called your dad up recently and thanked him specifically for that stuff?
No, but I should.
I tell you what, you get off this recording and you call that guy up and you let him know.
Yes.
Because I tell you what, parents are loving this right along with you girls. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's not just them. It's friends. It's the other parts of the family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know how this is. People take ownership in your successes and your joys too. So I might know a little bit of what I'm talking about when I say this to you. Call the old man up and let him know that he did you right. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like some people are going to be thinking like, oh, those girls were just doing it because their father, made them do it. No, absolutely not. I'm 21 years old now. I moved out of the house. I'm in college. And I called my dad up and said, hey, open pheasant hunting is coming up. I got the day off. Why don't we go out and hunt?
Great.
So,
yeah.
Great. Go ahead.
Looking at me and Meredith when that was all going on, he's like, oh, these girls are crazy. I don't know if I want to get myself into this.
Yeah.
Well, that's an important part of this story. I think that you did a pretty good job of illustrating that earlier. But if people don't know, I think it's really safe to say, I'm not just blowing smoke. I think it's very safe to say that you girls wanted to do this and your dad supported you rather than the other way around.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Fantastic. I love it. Caitlin, did you have anything else or anything you thought of from based on the questions and comments?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your talkative nature, Caitlin. I'm glad. you didn't monopolize the space tonight. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you again, girls. I appreciate you taking time to put on a recording. Caitlin, thank you for working up questions and walking through this.
Thank you, Caitlin.
I don't know what kind of advocacy is in her future, but she spent a little bit of time with the Capitol with Natalie, and Natalie's kind of showing her the ropes a little bit. So I'll tell you, as a parent, that was fun for me too. So I'm looking forward to seeing if she and other kids are going to do more of that. So I'll be glad. I really will to see what happens.
Caitlin, you're the new generation, and we know that you can make a change.
Yep. Or just even make sure to defend it.
Yeah.
Just, especially Second Amendment Day, coming in there and making sure.
Do any of you girls know when that day is by chance?
Oh, I know it's
cold. I know it's a cold day.
Is it like February or something?
Yeah, it's we have February? Yes, of course. We try and pick the snowiest day of the year if we can.
Yeah,
it's scheduled in 2025 for February 18th. So just like you girls are very familiar with the program, all three of you are. There's a Second Amendment Day itself at the Capitol that the Iowa Firearms Coalition organizes. So people come and hear guest speakers, and they learn how to advocate and put in a card to talk to their legislators and say, I'm here on behalf of these groups that I'm part of. This is what I'd like to see, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you fast forward to a PAC fundraiser, steak supper that night. That happens in the evening, and we have the same guest speaker who happens to be Jeff Strecker. I don't know if do any of your girls know him. Have you heard of him?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, so Fort Dodge native, joined the service as a pup, entered, became a ranger, won top ranger competition out of the entire United States, went on to be in some things that end up being very famous, like Black Hawk Down was the name of the book and the movie, over in Mogadishu in Somalia. And he went on to have a great leadership career, became a chaplain. Now he's a motivational speaker. So he's national and done all these things now, retired out of the service, but an Iowa boy done well. And we're excited to have him come back and share some of his story in public for everybody at Second Amendment Day. But he'll have a more intimate discussion with people if they want to buy tickets to the PAC supper. So that's February 18th. Maybe all three of you can make it. I think Caitlin's obligated to help with raffle tickets. Am I right about that?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, Caitlin.
yes. And she'll have some duties that day. So, I mean, it'll be like old home week for you girls that have done these things. But if you want to come and join us, we'd love to have you. So put it on your calendar.
Count me in. I will.
It's so important.
It is a day that we don't want to miss.
You know, I mean, I know this is off the cuff and I'll have to clear it with the people who are scheduling, but maybe it would be good if you girls were willing to, if you were able to pop up on the stage for 2 quick minutes and say hello again and encourage people's advocacy. Because the truth of the matter is, if 2 young girls can do this, and then we've got another one here on the camera tonight that's thinking about these things, then there's no reason all the other people in the crowd and all the people that see this from afar that couldn't be there in person can't advocate themselves. You know what I mean? So I think that it might be kind of inspiring for people.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay. Again, Meredith Gibson, thank you. Natalie Gibson, thank you. Caitlin Ware, thank you. We'll sign off now. But Iowa Firearms Coalition, join us. We need your help. We can't advocate by ourselves, and your support and engagement go a long way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.